Hey everyone, welcome to another Spotlight session. My name is Paulson Thomas. I have Jeff Herschy with me, who built a company called Local Lead Sniper, and we've got some incredible things to share with you all. But before I get started, first of all, if you are brand new to High Level and if you are new to our YouTube channel, take a look, jump into a 14-day trial if you like, and I can tell you there's a ton of resources around it, and we encourage you to, check out building a SaaS-oriented service line in your agency. But before we get started, today's conversation with Jeff, there's so many things we can talk about. We met just a little while ago and kind of organized our conversation. We're going to talk about how to identify small businesses that need your help, okay? And there's really three pillars around that conversation that I want to talk about. One is finding them, in a creative way, and we're going to talk about exactly how. Also creating that awareness with them once you find them, and then also offering reciprocity in creating a solution and building a long-term relationship. But before we get started into the conversation, Jeff, tell us your story. I appreciate you jumping into the spotlight session. I know a ton of people wanted to hear about you and from you.
So awesome, thank you, and thanks for everybody that's watching this. So for me, I kind of was an entrepreneur as a kid, but I was a one-track mind. I wanted to be a F-16 pilot. I wanted to be a fighter pilot since I was about 10. And I focused everything that I did for a couple decades on that process. Was able to live that dream until about 2007 when I blew a disc in my back, got out, and then I actually started my entrepreneurial journey for real in a hospital bed with a laptop back in 2007, kind of getting started. And then started doing like affiliate marketing, training products, working with small businesses, and then that turned into creating SaaSes. I've been doing that for the last 10 to 15 years now. And I've had a couple exits in the software space and the digital agency space. So my passion is to help digital agencies help those small businesses by doing a one-to-many approach and really working with solutions and finding ways for digital agencies to get their foot in the door in a unique way that's not the same thing that everybody else is doing. So the business owner is just like, oh, they don't brush you aside as you're just another one of them. They stop, their ears perk up, and they want to pay attention. But you don't have to have a master's degree in marketing or software or anything to be able to do it. I find simple little approaches because, for the military, it's the lowest common denominator, right? We got to make sure everybody can do it with a system and a process and an approach that almost anybody can follow.
Yeah. And Jeff, where are you based out of? Are you in the US?
So I actually recently moved about a year and a half ago from Scottsdale, Arizona, down to Cabo San Lucas full time because I'm a digital entrepreneur. We came down here a couple times. COVID opened everything back up after COVID, and we just fell in love with the house that was down here and started building our own house.
Yeah, that's awesome. So help me understand. So you left the military with the injury and all, started the entrepreneurship journey. What triggered you to go into like, okay, software makes sense? Like, how did that even come about?
Man, so like I said, everything was about being a pilot, right? I had weather minor, I had an aviation degree, I took one business class in college, which actually I loved, so it should have told me something. But it was one of those things where I couldn't work. But I still kind of going through my medical eval process and going through the boards and everything. So I couldn't go looking for another job. And really I was qualified as an instructor pilot. So for me, the online journey started because it was the only place I really could go. I could work after hours, I could make my own hours. And I really was about a lifestyle at that point because I was working 50, 60 hours a week, 12 hours a day, Monday through Thursday, and most of Friday, if I wasn't deployed at my job. So it was one of those things where I was like, I have all this free time now, but what do I want to do with it? And I started going, hey, let me go online, started with affiliate marketing back when YouTube was brand new, right? It was going, they were like, what's this video thing? So I got into that, and then people were asking me, hey, well, what are you doing? Can you help us? And as I started going through that process of how can I help other people? Obviously come from the military background, a service background, showing others what I'm doing, that turned into, well, there's tools that I need to fulfill the services. And at the time, we don't have the wide variety of things like Go High Level now. We didn't have the wide variety of the tools that we can do for lead generation and fulfillment. So I had to go out there and started getting connected to some folks that were like, hey, we have a team here that might be able to help build it and just kind of, dip my toe in the water with something really small. And then from there, it's just kind of grown over the last years. You always kind of want to level up where you're at. And if you keep looking for that, now I've got multiple US and overseas developers on staff. We've got full-time staff that's helping us grow our product and drive our traffic. But it really started with just me and a laptop in a hospital bed, trying to figure out what am I going to do next, and kind of like starting the second act of my career or my life. And that was back when I was 30. It wasn't like I was, 40, 50 retired or trying to figure out what I was to do. My entire career ended abruptly. And it was like, what am I going to do now? And I got into it this way.
Yeah, got it. So I do know when you go into this journey of entrepreneurship, everybody makes it really look, easy of just getting a bunch of clients, right? And we know that's not realistic. Now, most businesses, agencies, SaaSpreneurs, like I always recommend them going local to just kind of start and get their feet wet type of thing. And is that something that you found? And if so, like, let's talk about how to identify small businesses that really need your help. Like, what are your thoughts on going local versus like big brands in general?
So if you're just starting out, definitely stay local, and you have a network of somebody. Even like I could live in a town of 30,000 people. I was living in the middle of nowhere, right? And you still know that there are small businesses. That's what runs America. You've got small businesses around the world as well. So they're like the little mom and pops that are set up. I do the same thing here in Cabo. So if you're looking at businesses in your local area, you probably know somebody. There's businesses that you frequent on a regular basis. There's people that service your home that you go to. If you really stopped and wrote a list and took a piece of paper of, hey, here's a top 10, 25, or maybe dream 50 businesses that are in my local area that of potential type, and maybe 2 or 3 of their competitors, now you've got a list of businesses you can reach out to. But what are you going to reach out to them about? What are you looking for when you're trying to identify that business? And for me, the number one digital asset for a local business is their Google business profile, hands down. They link to your website, they put up their phone number, they have your address. That's the number one place when people are looking for a local business. Now, you can argue that YouTube's a better search engine, or TikTok or Facebook, or whatever, but let's be real. When you are looking for a problem to a solution and it requires a small business, you're going to Google. That's it. It's like 99% of the time. So when you're on there, there's a couple of key factors. So for me, I'm looking for a few things. Number one, we're looking for the overall rating of the business and the number of reviews, right? So the sweet spot is somewhere between 4.2 for 4.5 for the trust factor. Anything below a 4.2 basically isn't overlooked, but they're kind of that second tier type business. So I'm trying to identify those type of businesses that I can help generate reviews for, right? I'm looking at the overall number of reviews. Most people don't know this, but the average number of reviews on a Google business profile is just over 3 dozen. It's 39. But here's the kicker. The expectation of the number of reviews that a local business should have on their Google business profile when a consumer is surveyed asking how many reviews should they have, it's 112. So that gap is 3x. So if they don't have at least 100 reviews, and if they have less than 36, right? I just use 3 dozen and 100 as a random number, so it's like easy in my head. They don't have those 2 numbers. I know there's an opportunity for me to help them. Now, in addition to that, I want to look and see if they're a home service company, because I know a lot of Go High Level users service home service companies, right? Because it's easy. There's things you can do. You can build out a pipeline and put an entire profile in there for them. So I also look to see if they have a chat feature turned on, which any business can turn on, because Google wants you to be able to communicate as a business owner with those leads and get them real-time responses, or as fast to real-time as possible. And then if it's a home service company, that can do either a schedule or a quote to make sure that that button is on. And you need to check if it's on the desktop or in the chat feature. That has to be checked on a mobile device, right? So I would go through and I'd look to see, hey, here's my list of businesses. I put them in an Excel spreadsheet, put them in a Google Sheet, whatever it is, manually. And then I'm going to go through, I'm going to identify some of those key factors. Another thing is, are they claimed or not, right? That's a pretty simple one. A lot of people go, hey, the business claimed or not. Okay, well, they've been in business for 10 years and they haven't claimed their Google business profile. I'm going to be like cautious when reaching out to them because they're probably not paying attention to a lot of their digital marketing. But if they're claimed and I can see that they're trying to get reviews, maybe their rating's not there, or they're missing out on just the simple blue button, right? The get a quote button or the chat. I know I have a potential prospect that's sitting in front of me, and I have their contact information because they've listed it right there on the Google Business profile.
So here's what I'm getting out of this. So Jeff, you're saying going local makes total sense because that's a smaller pocket of people that you as a agency or a SaaSpreneur can serve. And what you're saying is also local. The good thing is they're built around Google and GMB. Like that's their survival kit at the end of the day. And it's an easy way for you to kind of jump in and see what is that health score around their GMBs in general. And you can really like help them in different ways, depending on what they're wanting, reviews. I talk about missed call text back a lot, like so many different features that we can just turn on and be like, hey, can we just help other people in your local area know that you exist?
Yes, absolutely. And that's the thing is like, hey, I can also show them what they're compared to their competitors, right? You can play a little bit off the ego and say, hey, look, Paulson, your HVAC company and Jeff's HVAC company, we rank differently. And we also, but I'm going to look at our two companies. You've got 154.8 stars. I've got 26 at 3.7. Who do you think your significant other is going to ask you to choose? Or who do you think you're going to go to get a restaurant? Oh, we want to go for an anniversary dinner. You're going to go to the 3.7 or the 4.8. I can tell you right now, my wife chooses the 4.8 100 out of 100 times. And that's how we look and do things. And it's just the way we're built in. And it's been that something where like I was going to book a restaurant here in Cabo San Lucas and they had the chat feature, right? And I called the restaurant. It was before hours and they weren't open, right? And then I sent them a chat message within 3 or 4 minutes. They replied back to me and I had my restaurant booked, my reservation booked for them later that night or the next day because they're paying attention to it. So there's other ways to get in. And then we started having a conversation. Oh, did you just call? So the chat got through faster because it came up on their phone as an alert on the app versus the office in the back ringing where somebody's running around doing stuff because they're not actually open or not at the hostess stand.
That's interesting. Now, my wife don't even look at the rating. She looks at the number of reviews. Oh, they have 1,200 reviews. Let's just go there. It doesn't even matter if it's bad or ugly. It's like more people have gone there. It's the way she would look at it. So the first pillar is helping them see the value and finding the GMB as a foot in the door method, right? The second thing we talked about as far as identifying small businesses that need your help is creating awareness. Let's say you find them, and how do you create awareness, Jeff? What are some ways you can educate the prospect before they see the value?
Yeah, so this is where some of the techniques and things that we use and we've built over the last several years really comes in, and I call it my IMO approach. It's the initial outreach message, making them aware of what the actual issue is, and then offering to resolve that solution quickly for them. With the Google Business Profile, you have a way to offer something very quickly and easily. It doesn't take a lot of time. You can actually do it and gain some reciprocity from it. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But the initial way is to reach out to them. So you've got the website, right? So you can go through, you can look at the name, do a contact form, maybe call the office or the business from there, or send them an email, right? That's what a lot of people say. It's kind of like throwing spaghetti on a wall. Like if I have 50 people and I call my dream 50 right there on the spot, I'll get a couple conversations going, but I want to have quality conversations. I want to know that the normal number of touches is about 8 before somebody actually gets on the phone, you can close deal and move through. I don't want to have those 8. I want to compress the timeline. Again, being an ex-fighter pilot, I want to be efficient. So what I've done is we've actually gone through and we've looked at all the businesses in that local area, and I run their phone number through a phone validator. Now, you're probably wondering, like, what are you doing with that, right? So we run them through a phone validator because here's what I want to do. Everybody has a mobile phone, right? There's a smartphone. You probably have one. Like 95% of people have a smartphone nowadays. They don't have, the dial pad phones or flip phones anymore. So what I want to do is I want to know that if I'm reaching out, I want to bypass the gatekeeper, right? I don't want to talk to John or Mary in the front office. I don't want to get the email. It's like, oh, we'll pass it on. We'll get back to you. Or, hey, this is a great idea. And then I get just lost, right? You get brushed off, you get lost. If you're an agency and you're just starting out, that is extremely frustrating, right? You're like, I know I could help them. I know that I've gone this process. I've called the business. They're like, yeah, the doctor should be here, or the owner's going to go right here. I'll call you right back, and then you never hear from them again, right? So here's what I want to do. I want to do my initial outreach method in the IMO approach. I want to send them a text. I want to find the businesses by validating the different numbers. I want to know, is it a landline? I want to know, is it a VoIP number, right? Because most of those are most likely not going to reply. Some of the VoIPs will, right? But let's go like maybe 3 to 5%. But if it's a text message, 96% of text messages get read within 3 minutes. So if I text the business owner, because I validated their phone number through a phone validator, right? If there's a website that just does it for free, I can send them a text message. It's a simple little message. It's my is this message, right? So is this Paulson's HVAC? Question mark. That's it. Leave it at that. You don't need to go in there and give me a whole diatribe of what you found, or is this Paulson's HVAC? That's it. 30 to 45% of the folks that you send a text message to are going to reply. Not only are they going to reply, it will be within 1 to 15 minutes that those folks will start replying. So when you start doing your outreach, you're just sending them a little text message. You're going to have a conversation, right? It's, oh, how can I help? And it depends on the business type, right? Oh, you're looking for a quote, looking for estimate. Why? Yes, it still is. Or, oh, no, this is not the right business. Now you've gotten past the gatekeeper. You have the business owner on the line. Why do you know you have the business owner on? Who else is going to put their cell phone in the Google business profile, right? It's going to be those smaller businesses that they're running it from their phone. They don't have necessarily a bigger office, but they're a business, right? Maybe they make 6 figures, $500,000 a year, and they're starting to go, but they don't necessarily have an office and a VoIP and all this other stuff. Who do you think you can make the biggest impact on? That business, especially as a newer agency. You can get your foot in the door, have the conversation from there. So I want to have that initial conversation via text message with the business owner, because then I can make them aware of what that issue is.
Yeah, I love this so far. So that's the second pillar in creating awareness. And it's a pretty interesting way to go about it because, most prospecting, most email cold efforts, cold calling, like everything leads to the front gate. And then from there, you're going to have to kind of explain your way through in getting qualified and then talking to a decision maker. Here in this scenario, what Jeff's talking about is really bypassing all of that and going directly to a decision maker, whether that's the owner or not. It'll be someone with significant decision power, right? Otherwise, they're not going to have their phone numbers attached to GMBs. Now, the third pillar we want to talk about is offering reciprocity, right? We found them through GMB, then we created awareness because we now got through the gatekeeper. Now we're talking about the offer solution and maybe even auditing some of the things that they're not doing right or whatever. Like, can you give us a little bit about the third pillar, offering reciprocity?
Yeah, so here's how we kind of bridge the gap, right? So if you're a newer agency, like you were just talking about, you get the gatekeeper, it's frustrating, not to mention like, people get overwhelmed with like, well, how do I get past? And then you don't do the follow-up call. But imagine having the conversation with the business owner. So your goal, now that you have the business owner conversing with you, you've got your foot in the door, is to offer them something of value to get them on the phone right now. Whether it's, hey, can I call you real quick? Or giving them a little bit of background of who you are and what you can do, right? Keeping it short and sweet. We have a simple template to do that. That basically gets them either onto the Zoom, just like this, or gets them onto the phone. Because what you want to do is you want to make them aware of what's going on. Hey, I was researching business types in this local area, and I noticed that you don't have a quote button or you don't have chat turned on for your business. Would you like me to be able to help you turn that on for you? A lot of people go, well, what's that cost, right? Or, hey, I noticed I was trying to schedule something with your company, and there wasn't a way to do that on your Google business profile. Do you know how to turn that on or not? right? And then most people are going to be like, no, they're a business owner. They barely even filled out. Google probably filled out their profile for them, and then they went and claimed it, right? They don't even have a description or keyword in there. So what we do is we find those, we make them aware of the issue, or hey, look, I'm looking at your business right now. Did you know that Jeff's HVAC has 1,500 reviews and you guys only have 32? I'm looking at your two businesses. How would you like to help increase the overall rating and the number of reviews that your business has? I've got a quick solution to do that. Would you like to learn more, right? I tend to stay away from that one a little bit because they already know a pitch is coming. But if I'm offering reciprocity, hey, I have the ability to turn this on for you, would you like me to do that for you real quick? 9 out of 10 times the question is how much, right? Or what's it going to cost me? And usually then it's nothing. We're just offering as a free service to help local businesses in our area. Now there's a way to gain some credibility with that, to be able to offer that reciprocity in a way where you come across with authority. And if you just Google local guide, right? How to become a Google local guide. You can actually activate that in like 30 or 60 seconds, which you can say, hey, look, I'm a Google local guide. And for me in the Cabo San Lucas area, I'm looking for businesses that we can help. Not tell them, hey, I don't work for Google. I'm not set up for Google, but I have some credibility. I can jump on the phone with you right now and show you how to do this. Now you're walking in the door. You don't need to know anything about Google, you don't need anything about Google Business Profile, because they're just going to give it to you, right? They're going to give you a rating score. The business owner hears those terms. They're like, okay, so this person's interactive with my local community, right? Might be a digital agency. Well, I'm not sure. They're going to get on the phone. The goal is to either get them on a Zoom right now or get them on the phone and walk them through the process. It's very simple. To turn on their chat, to turn on their get a quote button, turn on their schedule button is a few clicks inside of their Google Business Profile. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get on the phone and I'm going to see if they have access to it, or going to send them a Loom video on how to do it, and then follow up with them and ask them any questions. Because what I'd like to do is get them on a meeting, something like this, where I can show them the screen and I can go inside of their Google Business Profile and say, hey, look, we're going to turn this on for you. Here's what it's going to do. Right. So now you offered something of reciprocity. You're giving something of value. Some people will charge $99, $199 to turn it on. But look, if you're going to charge something and they see that all you've done is gone in and flipped a switch to turn something on inside of the Google Business Profile, they're going to be like, well, so just go there. Hey, look, we're going to help you configure this, because this leads you into the audit, or this leads you into the conversation about, well, what else do you guys do? But there's a very key way to have that conversation, right? So in the IMO approach, so it's initial, make sure you have the initial outreach, make them aware, and then offer a solution to the problem. So now you're offering that solution. While you're doing that, what I like to do, and what works very, very well is, hey, while we're in your Google Business Profile, and I've just turned this on for you, now you're going to start to see some leads come in, right? Now you're going to have some chat conversations. Make sure you have the Google app right there on your phone and you're logged in so you can respond to those customers even quicker. But while I'm in your Google profile, would you like me to discuss or show any other potential opportunities that I see within the profile of how we can potentially help generate more business for you? That is your way in the door, because what you've done is you made them aware of a problem. You've got them on the phone. You've just done something for them that they're going to see, hey, all right, so this guy knows what he's talking about, this girl knows what he's talking about. But you've got them on the phone, and it's not a sales conversation of, hey, let me come on and talk about SEO. Let me come on and talk about PPC. Let me talk about how we can improve the ratings and the overall conversion score of your website as a CRO, right? You've got them. You've gone under the hood. You've done something for that business owner. Now you can transition them smoothly into that sales conversation, because I already showed them and done one thing for them. It costs you 10 minutes, right? It doesn't really cost you anything. And now you're actually having the transition into your sales conversation. It could be anything. Well, I noticed that you guys aren't, driving traffic to your Google Business Profile. I noticed that you don't have any keywords, or you don't have any products in your category. I'm a Google Business Profile expert. Hey, I noticed when we click on your website, ooh, man, it looks like it was made in 1995. There's still JavaScript and GIFs floating over here. Maybe we should work on that. It gives you the opportunity to say, hey, these are what other things that we can do to help either increase the overall conversion of the Google business profile, or help drive traffic to it, or just help that business in general, no matter what you're offering, you've now got yourself under the hood as their mechanic. Have you ever gone to the car dealership and they're like, oh, change your oil. Hey, we're going to check 21-point checklist. And they're like, oh, your belt needs to be changed. The hydraulic fluid, is a little bit out. This power steering fluid's low. We can do all that. It's just $19.99. Same thing here. You're getting yourself under the hood. You've made them aware. You've given them something of value. And now, doesn't matter what you offer, you are now an expert to them in some way, shape, or form. You've done something on their behalf. They're more willing to listen to your sales pitch.
Yeah, this is a brilliant way to create that know, like, and trust factor. And we know that's what it takes for you to be able to expand a real offer and have a long-term relationship. So this is a brilliant way to go about it. So the 3 pillars on identifying small businesses that need your help, guys and gals, is first things first, finding them online. And we're recommending that you go down the Google My Business approach for local businesses, right? Second pillar is creating that awareness once you find them the right way. And the third is offering them a reciprocity of an approach of where you're fixing something and creating that credibility and getting on a Zoom or whatever, spending 10 minutes turning something on for them, or reconfiguring a broken whatever that they have, and showing credibility and creating a trustable experience on sales before you go any further in offering a bunch of different things. Imagine having to create like a long email about what you can do versus you actually just doing it for them, right? It's just not gonna sit the same way. Jeff, tell me a little. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're 100% right with that. And a lot of people, and this is a really key factor here for a lot of agencies, is they go through like verbal diarrhea, right? You get the conversation going, and then you text. It's like the angry ex. You text them like this long thing, like 15 paragraphs. The messages that we have, 2-3 sentences. That's it. Never go past that, because at that point, now you're in a sales pitch. Unless you're already in a conversation and they're a client of yours and you're really trying to explain something, everything is just 2-3 sentences. That's it.
Yeah.
Never go past that until you've actually gotten under the hood and you've gotten into the conversation.
Yeah. So let's talk about scaling this process. And I know you built like local lead sniper and software and a lot of different things around this. So let's talk about doing this at scale. What are some solutions that you have, Jeff, that'll make this whole thing easier?
So with local lead sniper, we were coming up with the idea of like, how do we do this and how do we do this at scale? So we created a tool that's low cost on an annual plan that allows you as an agency to go out there and identify those businesses. It will also go check and ping to see which ones have the ability that they have their text message listed as their Google business profile, and will initially send that is this message. So I can actually fire that up and send out a dozen, 2 dozen text messages over a cup of coffee. And within 15 minutes, be having real valuable conversations and booking appointments with these business owners right there on the spot, so that I can get into this approach. But one of the interesting things about our software is we like to play against their ego, right? So I'm going to take you versus your competitor. Instead of telling you, hey, Paulson's HVAC has a 4.8 rating with 1,200 reviews, and you only have 30 out of 3.9, my wife will never let me use your business. I show them. We actually can take a screenshot and an image of what their profile looks like and show them what they're missing, or put them side by side with their competitor and really catch their attention. So everything that we just talked about today, we can speed this up, obviously using software and automation, so that you're having that conversation, or finding those leads, exporting them, putting into Go High Level and starting that, or using an API to put them in there as well, so that you can have those conversations and you can control them, whether it be in the CRM or Go High Level, or getting them on the process and then moving them in there to help fulfill those type of services once they're a client.
And what's the link so people can just go check it out themselves?
Very simple.
Okay.
It is localleadsniper.com. It's
okay.
Very simple.
Well, Jeff, I appreciate you jumping in and sharing some valuable information here. Anything else you want to share before we kind of close out the podcast?
Yeah, one final thing, keep it simple, right? It's always about just keeping it as simple as possible and having the conversation. People are like, oh, you're a fire pilot. Look, I'm not the smartest person. I just was lucky enough, had a little hand-eye coordination. So everything that we build is about the newer agencies and getting your foot in the door and getting results. So if you've been struggling, trying to figure out as an agency, how do I get my first client, or how do I start to have those conversations, the cold email spaghetti on the wall, mailing, texting or reaching out to 1,000 business a day, or geez, cold calling, right? That's the biggest nightmare of every single digital agency. We solved all that. Stop throwing spaghetti and just be a sniper. Go after the 5, 10, 15 key folks that you want to reach out to and have meaningful conversation, because a lot of people think that they're busy, right? They feel like they're making progress, but they're not. But when you start having conversations with the real business owners, and you can affect that Google business profile, which is, again, the #1 digital asset that a business can have, you can really make an impact for that business, which then makes an impact for your business, helps grow your digital agency from there.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. This is fantastic. So those of you, if it's your first time watching one of our Spotlight Session podcasts, welcome. There's tons of different episodes that you can watch. Jump into a 14-day trial, check out what High Level does, and meet great entrepreneurs like Jeff and other SaaSpreneurs who are building cool ecosystems around High Level. And we just wish you the best of luck. And we appreciate your time, Jeff, for jumping in for another fantastic session. Okay,
I
awesome.
appreciate it.